to the future of Flushing. I'm Vito Calisi. Over here is Jonathan Barron, and to my left is Marco Vargas. We're at the Mets minor league baseball complex in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Marco, you were traded to the Mets for major leaguer David Robertson. When that trade went through, Billy Epler said a lot of nice things to say about you. He said you had elite discipline and elite decision-making. How does it feel to get such high praise from somebody so high up in the organization?
Se siente bien porque
Feels great. Feels like a very humbling experience. I'm very grateful to both organizations. Obviously, the Marlins first and foremost, for taking me in the beginning, but obviously the Mets for having faith in me and seeing that there's progress to be made and that development that I can do with them.
también con los Mets por tomarme cuenta y por traerme con ellos en este cambio.
So you spent the first 2 years of your career, or 2+ years of your pro career with the Marlins. Now you're a member of the Mets organization. What are your first impressions with the Mets organization? You've now been here for about 2 months. So what have you seen? What do you feel about the Mets?
I think the main thing I've noticed since I've come here is the fact that the Mets see the player not so much just the player, but also as a human being. They see us as someone who, yes, we can struggle sometimes, but they also try to motivate us from a human standpoint. They also try to help us focus on our physical shape and how well we are in both a physical and a mental state.
Es algo que me ha gustado desde que llegué.
It's your first year stateside ball. How's that transition been dealing with the upgrade in performance and competition?
Obviamente, pues hay un cambio. El cambio que yo veo es en
I think the main thing I've noticed and I've seen is just the overall experience of certain pitchers and certain batters. I've been able to draw a lot from fellow teammates that are more experienced than I at bat, and see obviously sometimes it can be easier, it can be harder, depending on who we're facing at the mound.
Entonces ese es el cambio que yo veo más. Gente con más experiencia y más inteligente.
And after the FCL Mets season ended, you came to the Port St. Lucie Mets. We watched you play last night. You reached 5 times, 2 hits, 3 walks. You've been great recently. You have a .480 on-base percentage in your last 5 games. So what has helped you be so successful in the new league, in the Florida State League, where you've only had a couple of games, but you're already excelling?
No, nada, solo tratar de tener el mismo approach.
I overall try to keep the same approach as I've had since I was younger. Obviously, it has helped me a lot. It gives me confidence. I try to keep discipline on the plate. Try to be smart about what I'm doing in the mound, and then obviously just focusing on being just solid in a mental standpoint.
Cuando yo me siento confiado, siento que puedo hacer las cosas bien, entonces las cosas me salen bien.
Now, that wasn't the only good game you've had. Your first game with the Mets, you had 3 hits. Was that just straight excitement of the feeling of getting traded for a major leaguer, getting to this new team? Like, what did that feel like that night as you were going through those motions?
No sé realmente qué fue, pero la verdad yo me sentía muy bien ese día.
It was a huge mix of emotions for me personally. Obviously coming in, I was excited. I wanted to make a good impression, and I overall just felt pretty good that day. Just wanted to, give it all and do the best I could. And obviously after that gave me a huge boost of confidence to keep going and keep going from there. And that basically set the standard for me going forward.
Well, you set a high standard all season long. You actually have led the Florida Complex League in walk rate this year. So I'm curious as to what is your mindset when you're in the batter's box? You against the pitcher, you're trying to get on base and you do it so well. What are you thinking when you're at bat?
Nada, solo buscar un buen
I
picheo.
usually like to give a more of a methodical approach. I like to help the team in whichever way I can and be smart about, if I don't have the right pitch, I'm not going to go for it. I'd rather, sometimes be patient with it and then, help the team by not swinging to whatever the first thing that comes to me.
Una base por bola y nada, solo eso.
That was a really good complex league team. How exciting was it to join that team that was pretty much on fire, and then you get there with a bunch of other just explosion of talent at the exact same time?
Hasta donde pudimos.
You've certainly proven that, and you're still so young, still 18 years old and in the Florida State League, one of the youngest players in the league. And that makes me think about, just you as a baseball player and your origins. When did you fall in love with the game, and who got you into baseball?
Bueno, yo desde chiquito siempre me gustó el béisbol. Yo creo que la persona que me metió a este deporte fue mi papá.
Ever since I was a little kid, I've always, I was always in love with baseball. I always wanted to, see baseball, breathe baseball, know baseball, all largely due to my dad because he used to play himself. And when I was younger, I made the decision to start playing baseball at around 9 years old. And then as I got older, I got to see what the process to be to where I am at today looks like, and what the dedication and what the hard work that is required for it. I was also very much in love with the game from a very early age. Largely due to my conversations with my dad and just overall just talking about the game.
Que yo dije, yo quiero esto, yo quiero vivir de esto y pueda trabajar para ello.
And on top of your dad, who were some of your favorite players and some of your idols growing up in terms of baseball?
Bueno, pues mi jugador favorito, Francisco Lindor.
Ever since I was younger, I always looked up to Francisco Lindor. That's probably the one I could say is my favorite player. And it's funny, most people think that he's my favorite player now because I'm with the Mets, but actually he's always been, one of my favorite players. Another one that I can probably name is Bryce Harper, someone that I really admire from a professional standpoint. But yeah, mostly they'll be those two.
Que más he seguido desde joven.
What is it about Francisco Lindor that you look up to so much?
Yo creo que porque él se mira.
I think the main thing I can see from him is just the way he approaches the game. His approach is how calm he is, how good his demeanor is, how his work ethic is. Just it makes it seem like he's just unfazed by anything. How smart he is at bat, and just overall how he carries himself as a person and as a player.
Es como un jugador muy completo que puede hacer de todo.
When you get to meet Francisco Lindor and have a conversation with him, pick his brain. What are some of the things that you want to ask him about? What are some things that you want to learn from Francisco Lindor?
Yo no sé, yo creo que cuando yo conozca.
I think obviously when I first meet him, it'll be quite interesting because I don't think I'll have a lot of words to say. It'll be hard to come by, but it would be one of those that I'll certainly want to know how his journey was like, what he had to go through, and to see how the things that he had to experience as a human being and as a player to get to where he's at.
Cómo él se siente al llegar a donde él está.
Now, the start of your Mets journey was, as we said before, the day you got traded for David Robertson. You and Ronald Hernandez were traded on the same day for the same player. When did you and Ronald get to speak? How quick after that trade was made, and what were the first things you two said to each other?
Fue un día a la 1 de la mañana.
It was quite an interesting story. We found out around 1 a.m. We were both sleeping, Ronald and I. Our rooms are pretty close to each other, but around 1 a.m. we got a call from the boss and the Marlins, and obviously he told us the news and thanked us for everything we did for the organization, and how the next day we basically had to pack up all our stuff and report to the Mets over here. And just that whole journey was just an emotional. Just a flood of emotions that we couldn't really process, but obviously I'm rather thankful that I had him to talk to and kind of piggyback off each other to guide us through this path.
También fue como una lluvia de emociones porque sentíamos muchas cosas en ese momento, entonces, pero fue algo muy bueno y ha sido una experiencia muy bonita.
So the season's about to end here. We're in the last week of the Florida State League, so you're headed into the offseason, your first offseason as a member of the Mets organization. So what are some of your goals during the offseason, and what are some of your goals for next year as you enter your first full season as a member of the Mets?
Bueno, para este offseason
I think my main goal for the offseason was to work on my physique, to get stronger, get faster, get more agile, and just overall take care of my body. And then I guess my main goal for the upcoming season would be to become a more influential player and basically become, someone that others can rely on to talk to and to learn with.
Pero más enfocado en el físico. Y para la siguiente temporada, yo quiero, claro, seguir ser una pieza clave para mi equipo, para la organización, para seguir ayudando, ¿sabes? Ser alguien importante y claro, ayudar y hacer un buen trabajo.
Before we get out of here, this is the first time a lot of Mets fans might get to see you and hear you. What is a message you want them to know about who you are on and off the field?
No, ¿sabes? Solo que pues soy una persona, claro, sencilla, alegre, que...
The main thing I can probably say is, I'm a very humble guy. I'm very, I like to keep things easy, keep them simple, and, I'm a very approachable guy. I'm always very happy, try to see things with a positive standpoint. And yeah, just overall that, if people see me, that feel free to approach me. I'm a very approachable guy. I'm never going to, deny opportunity to talk to a fan. And I'm just an overall very happy and approachable guy.
Con los fans de los Mets.
Well, Marco, thanks for spending the time with us. The Mets are lucky to have you in the organization, and we can't wait to see what the future has in store for you. So thanks a lot for taking the time with us.
No, thank you.